Hello, I'm Sam Castor, founder of Mannatech. Mannatech is a nutritional research and development company that has pioneered the science of real food technology solutions. And I know someone asked you to watch this today because they know how meaningful this information can be to you and your family. So I want to thank you in advance for listening to this brief message. I'm going to talk about the #1 health risk that faces us all in the world today, about how we believe that real food technology solutions mitigates this risk, about how we can touch the lives of the most vulnerable children on earth with this technology, and how all of this can play an important role in your life. You know, when I go around and I ask audiences around the country, what do you think the #1 health risk in the world is? I get answers like, some plague, some disease, some natural disaster. But actually, the #1 health risk in the world is called undernutrition. It impacts the lives of more people than anything else. In fact, in its most acute form in developing nations, it's called malnutrition. And malnutrition is the #1 killer of children in the world. Over 5 million children die every year from the acute forms of malnutrition. And so how do we deal with that problem? Well, through relief organizations, we send hundreds of thousands of tons of enriched grain-based cereals to deal with the problem. In fact, in 2006 alone, charities supplied over 450,000 tons of enriched grain-based cereals to address this situation. The question is, how's that working for us? Well, according to major relief organizations, not very well. Because what we found is that fortified blended cereals do not even meet the new minimal nutritional needs of the world's most vulnerable children. The organization Doctors Without Borders has even put out a new campaign called Food Is Not Enough. And what they've done is they've called on industry to help fight this problem with new technologies. And the two technologies they've asked for is #1, nutritionally dense and ready-to-use nutritional products. In other words, food products that have the full complement of essential nutrients in their most natural form. #2, develop a new nutritional product that is complementary to standard of care medical treatment, because a lot of these children are already at risk health-wise, and they need new technologies that can help support their immune systems. But you know what we found out? Those two products actually serve the needs of people in every country on the planet, because everybody has those same basic needs in their lives. So what am I talking about? Well, take a look at this picture. What do you think these two children have in common? Actually, they could both be dramatically undernourished. Obviously, the child on the left is probably suffering from the most acute form of malnutrition, which is obvious by the fact that their bodies are wasting away. Obviously, this child is getting too little of the right kind of food. What about the child on the right? He could be undernourished and suffer the same devastating consequences of undernourishment, and obviously he appears to be getting too much of the wrong kind of food to support his body. So how much of the wrong kind of food do our kids, do our families get? In this book called The Fast Food Nation, it defines how bad of a problem it is in this country. About 90% of the money that Americans spend on food is used today to buy processed food. I love this quote from highly acclaimed journalist Michael Pollan in the documentary Food, Inc. He said, "A lot of what we see in the supermarket, I would argue, is not really food. It's what I call edible food-like substances." He says, of course, the solution is to eat real food. Well, what does he mean by real food? Well, take a look at this picture. Which one of these bowls of fruit do you think offers the most nutritional value? Actually, the bowl on the left is real food, real fruit. The bowl on the right is fruit-flavored cereal. Actually, what that is enriched grain-based cereal. Sound familiar? That's exactly what is not supporting the kids in most dire need. Now, the only difference is we take our enriched grain-based cereal and we add artificial coloring so that it looks like fruit. We add artificial flavoring so that it tastes like fruit. And of course, we add a lot of sugar so it becomes addicting. But you know, even when we try to eat the right fruits and vegetables, we're finding that it's harder and harder to get adequate nutritional support. Part of that is because modern farming techniques that are all designed to grow fruits and vegetables larger and faster come with a consequence, and that consequence is a depletion in the essential nutrients that are necessary to keep us healthy. And actually, the United States Department of Agriculture tracks the amount of fruits and vegetables that are needed to keep us healthy and makes those recommendations to the public. For instance, in 1995, the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables per day for adults was 5 to 7. Look what's happened today. The recommended daily servings has changed to 7 to 13 for adults, depending upon your gender and size. And look at this, a teenage boy now requires 9 servings a day. Now here's the question, is anybody doing that? According to national surveys, most of us aren't. And so what is the consequence of not receiving enough of the basic nutrition to keep us healthy? Well, it's called poor health. In fact, the World Health Organization in their 2000 report ranks the United States today 72nd out of 191 countries in terms of level of health of population. Time magazine in their cover article entitled "The Sorry State of American Health" put it this way. They said, despite advances in medicine, Americans are less healthy than we used to be, and the next generation may be even worse off. Well, how could you get worse off than we are today? Well, according to a 2005 study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, it says for the first time in over 100 years, the life expectancy of our children might actually decline. And of course, their quality of life will suffer too. And folks, that's called legacy. That is what we're handing down to our children, a poor quality of life. You know, even the Journal of the American Medical Association in a June 2002 article said, most people do not consume an optimal amount of vitamins through diet alone. You know, it now appears prudent to take a vitamin mineral supplement. Okay, everything I've shared with you up to this point, you might have heard bits and pieces of. But here's information that you might not be aware of. In order to get standardized nutritional support of the vitamins and minerals that are necessary to keep you healthy, there's only 2 sources. Those that are synthetically made in a chemical factory and those that come from food. And every time I ask people to pick one of those, of course, everybody picks food, but here's what's interesting about that. Synthetic vitamin business is a $50 billion industry in the world today because most people don't know what a synthetic vitamin is or where it comes from. So where do they come from? Well, we synthesize vitamins from petroleum or coal tar. And unfortunately, that is not food. What about minerals? Minerals are generally recovered by mining ores. In other words, we dig them out of the ground, small rocks, or from byproducts of chemical processes, the same chemical factories we were talking about before. These are called inorganic minerals, small rocks. And it doesn't matter how small you grind them up for supplementation. Here's what tests have shown, that these inorganic minerals contained in our most popular brands of multivitamins do not dissolve in either the stomach or the intestine. In other words, they're not soluble, which means they probably pass right through the body without being absorbed. So what's the difference in that than what we eat in food? Well, here's what a plant does. A plant uptakes minerals through their root systems, pre-digests them, and bonds them into a food matrix. And that provides maximum solubility, and that is the way our bodies were designed to receive nutrition. So I'm going to tell you about Real Food Technology solutions for those 2 critical technologies that industry has been called on to help develop. Number 1, food-sourced vitamin mineral supplementation, and number 2, advanced immune support to complement standard of care treatments. The whole concept of Real Food Technology solutions is really based on this article that came out in 2007 in Nutrition Reviews. The title is Food, Not Nutrients, is the Fundamental Unit in Nutrition. And this is the whole concept of Real Food Technology solutions. It says foods are comprised of synergistic blends of various nutrients bound together into what's called a food matrix. And it's the food matrix, not its individual nutritional constituents, that best support human biological processes. In other words, our bodies are designed to respond to food. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In 1936, this man, Albert von St. Georges, won the Nobel Prize in Physiology of Medicine for this discovery. What is it that prevents scurvy? You know, hundreds of years before, the British Navy had discovered that if you took lemons and limes on board, sailors wouldn't get scurvy, but they didn't know what it was in lemon or lime juice that caused that effect. That's what Albert von St. Georges determined, that it was really a vitamin C deficiency. In scurvy, ascorbic acid, which is the chemical structure of vitamin C, which is what we synthesize and call vitamin C, was ineffective. While the condition was readily cured by the administration of extracts of Hungarian red pepper and lemon juice. In other words, there was something in food that acted completely different than the chemical structure of vitamin C. So he went on to say that these results suggest that scurvy is a deficiency disease caused by the combined lack of ascorbic acid or vitamin C and other nutritional components, in particular what he called vitamin P, which is really a phytochemical called rutin. Phytochemicals are those small molecules in fruits and vegetables that first of all give fruits and vegetables their color. Like you've probably heard the phytochemical lycopene from tomatoes and how important it is to health. But the other thing is that phytochemicals, as they did in lemon juice, interact with vitamins and minerals in this food complex, this synergism of food. Of course, they're dramatically reduced when we green harvest our fruits and vegetables, which is one of the challenges with food in today's supermarkets. So what's the answer? Real food technology solution that takes new patented hydroponic growing techniques to develop real food solutions for vitamin mineral supplementation. Hydroponics is the ability to grow leafy vegetables in organic greenhouses where you fill the solutions with high levels of minerals. These minerals are hyperaccumulated, uptaken through the root systems, delivered, pre-digested into a food matrix, into the leaves. They're freeze-dried, ground up, and for the first time, you can get nutritionally effective levels at standardized forms of minerals from real plants. We also take new techniques for extracting natural vitamins and food-based phytochemicals and now provide us with a real food technology solution for vitamin mineral supplementation. We put all of those together into a new product that is called Phytomatrix. And it's the industry's first real food technology solution for vitamin mineral supplementation. In fact, it's so new that we were able to file patents in 2007 on this composition of food-based nutrients. We've also added a fun new, easy-to-eat PhytoBurst product to our product line that takes that Phytomatrix blend and puts it into a new, easy-to-eat, chewable form. Now I'd like to talk to you about our real food technology solution for the best integrative health support. This addresses the need to provide the best nutritional supplement to support our immune systems. It's based off of the science called glycobiology that didn't even come into existence until the late 1980s, early 1990. In fact, the first journal of glycobiology was not even published until 1990. Glyco is the Greek word for sugar, and glycobiology is the study of the biological function of very specific sugar molecules at the cellular level. In 1991, we got a glimpse of the importance of these sugars at the cellular level. This is an article that came out in Capitalizing on Carbohydrates, and it says, almost without exception, whenever two or more living cells interact, in other words, talk to each other in a specific way, cell surface carbohydrates or sugars will be involved. In Nature magazine in 1995, the article on glycobiology stated this: cell surface sugars are necessary for proper recognition and immune function. So as this diagram shows, these sugars are necessary to help the interaction with hormones that help regulate cellular metabolism. They help identify toxins and virus and bacterium. And of course, most importantly, they interact with the immune cells to determine what needs to be done to support proper immune function. You know, the immune cell reads all these cell surface structures and asks, are you me and are you okay? Are you not me? Or are you damaged meat? Do you need to be repaired? And based off that information, it enacts the immune system to respond accordingly. In 1996, Harper's Biochemistry for the first time identified the letters of the alphabet of cellular communication. It's 8 specific sugars. Now, our chief science officer at the time, Dr. Bill McAnally, who's blessed with 2 tremendous skills. Number 1, very good intellect, and number 2, common sense, came into my office and showed me this book from Harper's Biochemistry. He says, here's what we know. Sugars are necessary for proper immune function. When they're missing from these cell surface structures, somehow our immune systems become compromised. Here's the other fact that we know, that only 2 of these sugars are even in our modern diet. So what if compromised immune system was just a byproduct of nutritional deficiency of the sugars that are necessary to facilitate these immune functions? So he said, what we should do is we should go find plant sources that are rich in these specific sugars or their precursor sugars and develop a dietary supplement around this new composition. He said, you know, we might have discovered a whole new category of vital nutrients that might be more important to immune function than any other nutritional components existing in the market. And he said, if we're right about that, we should not only put them into a dietary supplement, we should file patents all over the world. And that's exactly what we did. We called the product Ambertose Complex. It's a standardized blend of these plant-sourced glyconutrients. We did file patents, and today we've received 45 worldwide patents. And we've distributed over 2.5 million units of Ambertose in over 16 countries. And you know, our research showed that Ambertose did in fact support a better immune function, did in fact support better digestive health, where 70% of your immune system is located. And we did find that it enhanced cognitive function. So, what if you've made 2 discoveries that meet the major demand in the world today for nutritional technologies? I mean, wouldn't you feel some sort of responsibility to make sure that people all over the world had access to that? Well, that's what we believe at Mannatech. In fact, we had a real passion for sharing these technologies, not only in first world countries, but when you find out that 5 million children a year die from the most acute forms of malnutrition, you feel some level of responsibility to help those children. And I know that feeling because that happened in my life. In about 1996, my wife and I were supporting orphanage organizations around the world. One in particular was in Romania. And the caregivers from that orphanage came to the United States and thanked a group of us for our contributions. But at the end of her discussion, she said, you know, it is heartbreaking what is going on in the lives of these children. They said, you know, about half of them are sick at any given time, and we are losing 30 to 40 kids a year that are dying from malnutrition. If anybody knows anything that could make a difference, please let us know. Now, we're sitting here with the 2 most important discoveries, I think, in nutritional science, and I know we can make a difference. So we went up to the lady afterwards and we said, look, you don't know us, but here's who we are and here's what we do. We'd like to donate enough of our product to your children for a year just to see what kind of impact we can make on their quality of life. Well, the next year they came back, and this time they found us. They said, you know what's happened this last year? The health of our kids has changed dramatically, and for the first time in over a decade, not one child died in our orphanage. And I got to tell you, I've been rewarded in business every possible way you can imagine, but nothing has ever been fulfilling as that statement. And I believe that that's true in most people's lives. People are looking for purpose to make a difference in the lives of others. So in response to that, my wife and I started a new not-for-profit organization that is called Manna Relief. And we shared it with our associate base, and the results were just overwhelming. Over the next decade, Mannatech Associates took our product into orphanages in over 80 countries around the world. And this is with no government support, no big industry support, no celebrities talking about who Manna Relief was. We touched the lives of over 80,000 children. But you know what? We haven't really even made a dent in the 5 million children that are dying every year. You know, and then 2008 came along and the bottom dropped out of our economy. And it not only impacted every business, it had a dramatic impact on not-for-profits. Because not-for-profits run off of the economic abundance that exists in the marketplace. And you know what? That required us to really rethink who we were as an organization, to reinvent ourselves as a new company with a new purpose. And then I was introduced to a new concept in business. And it actually came through this book that is called How to Change the World: Social Entrepreneurs and the Power of New Ideas. And it talked about new companies that were focusing, all of their efforts on bringing massive change into the world that we live in today. And they said, here's a blueprint for success for companies that want to make a difference. And here's what's required to become a real change agent in the world. First of all, you have to identify a problem of global proportion. Well, what's the number one health risk in the world today? Undernourishment and malnutrition. Then you have to provide an innovative new solution to that problem. And I'm telling you, Real Food Technology Solutions provides the most innovative solution to global undernourishment. Next, your mission must connect to a purpose that the public feels passionate about, because it takes the public being involved with your program to really proliferate it throughout the world. And finally, this new business model of social entrepreneurship says you have to find a way to economically incentivize the public to drive your mission to the ends of the earth. And that's exactly what we decided to do with Manatech. We reinvented our whole business strategy around meeting these goals. And to do that, we had to create a new program. We call it Give for Real, because it provides us with a new sustainable way to meet the needs of the world's most vulnerable children. We call it a donation through consumption program. And what it means is every time a consumer on their auto order orders one of our core Real Food Technology products, we're able to donate a Real Food Technology product to a child at risk somewhere else around the world. What's our goal? Our goal is to link millions of consumers with millions of children around the world. And this brings real possibilities into the lives of everybody that is participating with us. Creating a new financial model for self-funded consumer wellness allows us to touch the lives of consumers all over the planet who are looking for better ways of improving their quality of life. And incentivizing the public's passion for bringing relief to the world's most vulnerable children allows us to produce a business model that anybody can participate in and truly make a difference in the lives of others. When we simply observe the problems around us, we tend to say, that's life. When we're able to solve those problems, we say, that's living. And that's why Manatech provides you the opportunity to live for real.